think of Chuck.
What's going on?
Not usually, because I know that by heart without even looking. I don't think I was. I'm not aware that I was.
Something was funny. Yes,
No, I know that.
This is the one. Yeah. This is
When I became the ultimate. All righty. Can everyone please take their seats? Bimheira Biamenu. And we begin with Ma Tovu on page 110. Tovu, Ma Tovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Ma Tovu, Ma Tovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. turn to page 137. And in traditional Judaism, in Orthodox Judaism, we actually do the shofar service is in the Musaf service, the additional service. And it's actually, the shofar is blown throughout that part of the service. So here in Reform, they put that into the shacharit, into the morning service. So I will read the Hebrew, and then we're going to, the cantor will read it, call out the first of the shofrot blasts. Shema Yisrael, on page 137, Hakdusha, Shofat Bakol, Alfei Rava Poneha Malei Olam Shchinata, Hakol Echad, together. Hear, O Israel, the divine abounds everywhere and dwells in everything. Its faces are infinite, its sources suffuses all, the many are one. Together, blessed is the soul reaching sound of the shofar. It proclaims the purpose of this day. Blessed is community, source of joy, solace and strength to every living soul. And we continue with the Chatzi Kaddish from page 141. And we continue on page 152 for the Baruch Hu, please rise. 142, sorry. Please be seated. Let us continue on page 148 in the English, middle of the page. Bring us in peace, and from the four corners of the earth, lead us with upright pride to the land that is ours. For you are a God of miracles and wonders. From all the peoples of the earth you sought us out and brought us near to your great enduring truth. So with love we acknowledge and proclaim that you are one. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael b'yahava. And we rise on 150 for the Shema. Please be seated. And we continue with the V'yohavta on page 152. Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha, b'chol me'odecha, v'hayu advarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavecha, hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibata ba'am, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, uv'lechtecha b'derech, uv'shofpecha uv'kumecha, uv'kshaltam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, uv'ktavtam al mizot beitecha, uv'yisharecha, leman tizkeru, v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'item kedoshim Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeti etchem meretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. And we continue on page 164. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai. This is the song that Miriam sang as the Israelites were crossing the Red Sea. It's also this concept that in Judaism, we don't expect God really to do anything for us. We have to do it for ourselves. It's like this misconception that a rabbi can actually bless you. That's not true. It's not a Jewish concept. The most I can do is teach you how to read Hebrew, maybe, and help you with your Judaism. And even that you may not agree with me on all the time. And me, page 164 of Micha Mocha. יפתח. לה 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 ופי יגיד תהילתך. Please be seated. We now continue on page 174 with the Unatana Tokef. This if you have a 10 greatest hits of Jewish prayers, this is like the number one of the greatest hits, is the Unatana Tokef. There's a story of this really old Alter Rebbe from, you can make it up, I don't know where he's from. He's either from Poland, Russia, the Ukraine, or somewhere else in Eastern Europe. And anyway, he was a great holy sage, and he was pretty much at the end of his life, and he could barely walk, and he pretty much couldn't walk, and so they carried him up on Yom Kippur to open the ark for the Unatana Tokef, and he stood there right through the Unatana Tokef that talks about all the different ways you can die. And Judaism's a very positive religion half the time. And right at the end of the Unatana Tokef, he passed away. And so the powerfulness of this prayer was that he was able to hang on to that point. And so when we read the Unatana Tokef, we think about all the people we've lost this year, and think about how they hung on and the story of their lives that just weren't about how they ended their life, but how they lived their lives. And that's what I really see as the power of this prayer, is how we have to move forward and live our lives. 174 for the Unatana Tokef. Now, if we've had a bad, like in the book of life or in the book of death, how do we get rid of that? Utshuva, utfila, utstaka, ma'avirim et roa gezeira. Let's read in English on page 180. But through return to the right path, through prayer and righteous giving, we can transcend the harshness of the decree. And I noticed something in my story. I talked about how the ark is open to Unatana Tokef. Well, that's the one thing about Judaism is everybody has different traditions. And for example, in Reform Jews don't open the ark for the Unatana Tokef, whereas Orthodox do. Orthodox don't open the ark for the Aleinu, whereas in Reform Judaism, they do. So just, there's a little bit of Jewish trivia there for you. I'm mindful of useless information. And we're going to continue on 180. I'm going to read the Hebrew, then we can read together the English. Ki kishimcha ken tzilatecha, kasher lechos v'noach v'rzot, ki lo tachpotz b'mot ha'mavet, כי אם בשובו מדרכו וחייו עד יום מותו, תחכה לו, אם ישוב מיד תקבלו. אמת כי אתה הוא יוצרם, ויודע יצרם, כי הם בשר ודם. And together in the English. You are everything that we praise for you, slow to anger, quick to forgive. You do not wish the death of sinners, but urge them to return from their ways and live. Until the day of death, you wait for them. You accept them at once as if they returned. Since you created us, you know our impulses. We are but flesh and blood. As part of the Unatana Tokef, Adam Yosodo Me'afar, 182, V'sofo la'afar, B'nafsho Yaviu lachmo, Mashul keheres hanishba, כחצי יובש וכציץ נובל, כצל עובר וכענן חלה, וכרוח נושבת, וכאבק פורח, וכחלוף יעוף. Together, we are mortal, but our origin is dust, and so is our end. We wear out our lives to get bread, like broken vessels, like withered grass, like a flower that must fade, a shadow moving on, a cloud passing by, mere dust on the wind, and a dream that flies away. That Kansas song, Dust in the Wind, comes from this prayer. And we continue. One person got that joke. On 184, we continue with the Kedusha. Will the congregation please rise? seated. Anyone watch the TV show Friends? That beautiful piece of music was written by the guy that wrote the theme song to Friends. Another useless piece of information. We read together in the English on page 186. And so, in your holiness, give all creation the gift of awe, turn our fear to reverence, let us be witnesses of wonder, perceiving all nature as a prayer come alive. We bow to the sovereignty of your strength, the primacy of your power. We learn for connection with all that lives, doing your will with wholeness of heart. Awe-inspiring is your creation, all-encompassing your transcendent nature. And I'll read in the Hebrew. Uvechein tein kavod Adonai lamcha tiatech liratcha v'tikva tova ledorshecha v'pitchon pei miachlim lach simcha l'artzecha v'sason lirecha v'smichat keren liDavid avdecha v'arichat ner leven yishai mishichecha bimheira v'yomenu. And I'm going to continue in the Hebrew on 190. V'chein tzadikim yeru v'yismechu v'yisharim ya'alozu v'chasidim b'rina yagilu v'olatecha tikpatz piha v'chol yisha kula ka'ashan t'chaleh ki ta'aveh memshelet adon min ha'aretz. Let's read this one in the English. And so, in your holiness, give the righteous the gift of a vision bright with joy, a world where evil has no voice, and the rule of malevolence fades like wisps of smoke. Good people everywhere will celebrate the stunning sight of arrogance gone from the earth. And I'm going to continue in the Hebrew on 192. V'timloch ata Adonai levadcha al kol ma'asecha b'ahad Zion mishkan kvodecha v'Yushalayim rikodshecha ka'katuv b'divrei tchodshecha yimloch Adonai le'olam Elohayich Zion l'dor v'dor. Hallelujah. Kadosh ata v'noreh shemecha ve'en elo bibladecha ka'katuv v'yigba Adonai tzvaot b'mishpat v'el hakadosh nikdash b'stakas. Together, you are holy, your name is awe. There is nothing divine beyond you. As the prophet Isaiah taught, the source of all might exalted through justice, the God of holiness made holy through righteousness. Baruch ata Adonai HaMelech HaKadosh. And we continue with, we're going to begin, so there's three different parts to the shofar service. There's shofar, the shofrot, mizmochiot, and zichronot. And each one of them represents a different layer. We remember our ancestors, remember Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We also accept Malchiot, we accept the kingship of God, and the shofrot represents this idea of tshuva, this idea of returning, this idea of what does it mean to really repent? And that's something we're going to discuss over Yom Kippur, but Rosh Hashanah, we're going to do some other things. So we begin the Shofar Malchiot service, and I'd like to invite up Eve and Gordon Kramer to open the ark. And as the ark is opened, please rise and join with the cantor on page 200, or listen to the beautiful cantor on page 202 for the Aleinu. Hopefully my knees will be able to take it this time. You may be seated. And so now we're going to begin this is the shofar service, which we'll be reading throughout the service. And I'd like to read just one little meditation here. The kavanot. Kavanah in Hebrew means meditation. Kavanah also means to fervently, when you say a prayer, it's easy to say things by rote, but kavanah means that you have the full intent of heart when you say a prayer. So let's read together on page 205. You can say it with an Ashkenazis voice if you want. Ribaynu shel Eilam. Together, power of all, have compassion on the souls of Israel. Open their hearts to do tshuva before you. Open their souls for the sake of returning you. Dwell on each sound of the shofar, contemplate its meaning. Tekiah, one whole note. Shvarim truah, 3 broken notes, 9 staccato notes. Please don't count. Tekiah, one whole note. My return to the right path has the power to make me whole again. Tekiah, once I was whole. Shvarim truah, in the wear and tear of living, I have become broken and shattered. Tekiah, my tshuva has a power to make me whole again. Blessed are hearts that respond to the majestic music of the shofar. Blessed is the gift of life, the power of renewal that brings us to the day. And now I invite Cantor Michael to make the blessing over the shofar and to call out the notes. Let's read together. I'll read the Hebrew first. Eloheinu v'lohe avotenu v'imotenu kadshenu b'mitzvotecha v'ten chalkenu b'toratecha sabenu mituvecha v'samchenu b'shuatecha v'taheh libeinu lo'avtecha be'emet ki ata Elohim emet u'dvarcha emet v'kayam la'ad baruch ata Adonai melech al kol ha'aretz mekadesh Yisrael v'yom hazikaron. And we continue on page 207, Hayom Harat Olam. And we read that together in the English. Hayom Harat Olam, I'll read in the Hebrew first, sorry. Hayom Ya'amid b'mishpat ko yitzrei olamim, im kevanim, im kevadim, im kevanim, rachamim kerachem, im av al banim, ve'im kavadim einenu lecha hatzuyot, ad shetechanenu v'totzi ke'or mishpat, hayom kadosh. Together, today the world is born anew. The day the whole of creation stands before you to be judged. As we are your children, love us in the way of mothers and fathers. As we are yours in service, guide us by the light of your justice, grace, and holiness. הרשת שפתיים יערוב לפניך, הרם ונישא, מבנו מאזין, מביט ומקשיב, לכל תקיעתנו תקבל ברחמים ורצון, סדר מלכיותנו. Now the cants will sing that. Now we continue with our prayer of service. And so I'd like to thank everybody here who has served their country, served in the fire department, served in the police department, and those who serve our communities. And this is what this prayer is all about, is a prayer of service. And we're going to be plugging the Kol Nidre appeal right throughout the high holidays, starting from now. So one way to serve your community is by putting as much money into that pledge as you can possibly give, because it is so important that we have Jewish continuity, as I explained last night, why we need to educate the next generation. So please enjoy Ritzei on page 209. And we continue with our prayer of peace that can be found on page 216. Now's a time for our silent meditation. And so, as part of meditating, we breathe. And the word for breath in Hebrew is neshima. That means to take a breath. And the same word, the neshima, it's the same root. Soul is a neshama. So we take a breath with our neshamot in silent reflection. Past president of Women of Sinai and present president of Women of Sinai, Nancy Singer and Risa Manning, to open the Ark. And will the congregation please rise for the Avinu Malkeinu on page 223. Now we come to the Torah reading, Torah service. I'd like to invite up our Torah to open the Ark, Terry Turner and Alicia Rodriguez. And our Torah carriers, Elliot Lander, Gordon Poster, Rick Stein, and Sanford Friedman. And please rise as the Ark is opened and turn to page 227. Bracha תבנה חומות ירושלים, כי בך לבד בטחנו, מלך עולם ונישא, אדון עולמים. אדוני רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נושא חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטא ונקה. אדוני רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נושא חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטא ונקה. אדוני רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נושא חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטא ונקה. Processional. Face the ark. Face the ark. the head of our religious school, a principal of our religious school, and I'm Melamedet, Arava Talve, to, you got like a little fan club going on over there. Come on, everybody, clap Arava. Like you can't just say, there you go. I'm instituting clapping in synagogues. There's nothing, I don't know why they forbade it. Okay.
All right, I think we're good. I often tell the teenagers I work with that leadership doesn't have to be anything huge. It can be a simple act of kindness, a smile, a word of support, or simply showing up to help. Leadership is the ability to clearly see the better choice and act on it. It's so humbling to know how a person finds their way through tragedy or overcomes an addiction when others cannot. What makes the difference? We've all heard and lived the stories of people who all of a sudden lift up and find the path to healing. How do we find the eyes to see something in front of us we just couldn't see before? And how does this miracle of the heart find us and cause us to turn? So here we are again, waiting and praying for Abraham to lift up his eyes to see the ram in the thicket. We are in fear that Abraham will do the unthinkable and sacrifice his son. But just in time, Abraham saw there was a choice. The rabbis chose this story to bring us panim al panim, face to face with the ability to see. Sometimes we get so stuck, there's no way out, and then it's there. Clarity, a clear choice to change direction, but only if you see it. Perhaps Abraham was so distraught by the task God gave him that he got lost inside of himself. He couldn't see the ram until the angel nudged him awake and lifted his eyes. This is the call of the shofar. I think this year we are being pushed to see each other, to move beyond what divides us, to find and feel what binds us together as humans sharing this complicated yet wonderful world, to lift up our eyes and to seek what is good and what is holy. Seeing my sons become fathers this summer, oh boy, that was incredible. I see babies everywhere now. I see my sons differently. I now see them as guarantors of the future. It's up to them to now lift up, to look up, and make a good life for their families and work towards shalom, just as Abraham once did. And can you imagine what that walk down the mountain was like between father and son? The story of Abraham and Isaac on this day, it is not easy for us because it pushes us to think about what would happen if we couldn't see the better choice. Every year I hope and pray Isaac learned that his father Abraham ultimately chose him. We know that Isaac went on to have a family and to continue the journey to the land. I like to believe it was the angel in the story that ultimately helped Isaac find wholeness. Sure, it's easy to be discouraged and lose hope. It's easy to live in fear at the direction our leaders sometimes take. It's easy to shake your head and want to bury it in the sand. But then we remember that our greatest challenge as Jews is to dig our heels in for 6 days and work towards the ideals we say we believe in. And then Shabbat comes, and we renew and get ready to begin again. I think if we believe that it's all God, it makes it easier to find a path through the schmutz to find the blessing. And understanding that the blessing is always there, though sometimes very well hidden, makes it easier to face each new day with eyes that recognize the good. When I look at my son's babies, I pray that they continue to lift up and always choose the blessing. Abraham saw the better choice, and today he reaches across the generations to encourage us to do the same. Look and really see, Abraham teaches. See the blessing that often lives inside of the curse, the worst of humanity hiding inside what inspires us to be better. Whether it's in the streets of New York City 18 years ago, Boston, El Paso, Pittsburgh, Poway, or any one of the other places that challenges us to do and be better, to look up and see the goodness that God built into our world, and with all its pain and bittersweet moments, to learn from Abraham and to choose life. Shema Kolenu, God, hear our voice, that the goodness you built into the world will make 5780 a year of beautiful possibilities. May the goodness that lives inside find all of us this year. Can Yehi Ratzon, Shana Tova.
It's on. And so our Torah reading can be found on page 200, between 230 and 241. Don't be scared, it's painless. And for our first aliyah, I'd like to invite up our Torah reader, Arava, and also Diane and Arnie Simon to make the blessings for the aliyot, the first aliyah. Ya'amod, Rishon.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach
Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Asher Bacha Banu Mikol Hamim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam notav b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And for the second aliyah, I'd like to invite up Roseanne and Steve Easer. So he's Stephen when he's in trouble, right? Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher bachanu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
וייקח בידו את האש ואת המקלת, ויאכלו שניהם יחדיו. ויאמר יצחק אל אברהם אביו, ויאמר אבי, ויאמר הנני בני, ויאמר הנה האש והעצים, ויעשה לעולה. ויאמר אברהם אלוהים יראה לו עשה לעולה בני, ויאכלו שניהם יחדיו.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam yitah b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Rabbi, thank you. That's good. But never apologize. And Arthur Shaw will be reading the Torah. I'd like to invite up those of us with family in Israel. My son is serving in the IDF, so he's either guarding the West Bank border or he's at the beach drinking beer with his unit. That's how they do it in Israel. So anyone with family in Israel? Or that has served in the IDF? You didn't serve in the IDF? Well, if you have family in Israel, you can come up. Or both. I'm going to say both. We don't, just one person has to touch. Just, yeah, it's like chaos if it's too much. Well, just touch me. All right. You see, this is all right here. Baruch Hu et Adonai Barach. Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim, V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Vayavo el hamakom asher amar lo Elohim. Vayiven sham Avraham et hamizbeach, vayaroch et ha'etzim, vayakod et Yitzchak beno, vayasem hamizbeach mimal ha'etzim. Vayishlach Avraham et yado, vayikach et hamachelet lishchot et beno. Vayikra elav malach Adonai min hashamayim, vayomer Avraham Avraham, vayomer hineni, vayomer al tishlach et yadcha el hanar, v'al taslo muma, ki ata yedati, Kire Elohim ata, v'lo chasachta, et bincha et yichidcha mimeni.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. And for the fourth Aliyah, I'd like to invite up Diana McGinnity, who will be reading the Torah. We don't have to have everyone stand up here. Yeah. With my weight, may not necessarily have. I don't want this to flat. I'm kidding. It's not. And also, I'd like to invite up all the new members. Now that means anyone that joined this year or considers themselves a new member who's been here for 20 years. That was a joke.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach. Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim, V'nosan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Vayisach Avraham et einav v'yahar v'hine ayil achar ne'echaz basvach v'karnav vayelech Avraham vayikach et ha'ayil v'ya'alehu le'olah tachat eno vayikra Avraham Shem hamakom hahu Adonai Yireh Asher Ye'amer hayom Bahar Adonai Yera'eh Vayikra Malach Adonai El Abraham Shenit Min Hashamayim Vayomer Binishbati Nu'um Adonai Ki Yahan Asher Asita Et Hadavar Hazeh V'lo chasachta Et bincha Et Yechidecha Yivarech Avarechecha V'harba Et zarecha K'chochlei Hashamayim V'chachol Asher Asfat Hayam V'yigash Zarecha Asher Oivav V'hiparchu V'zarecha Kol Goyei Haaretz Ekev Asher Shamata V'koli V'yahashav Avraham al na'arav V'yakumu V'yelchu yachdav el be'er shava V'yeshev Avraham v'be'er shava
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nasan lanu Torah emes v'chayei olam v'atah b'sochenu Baruch atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
Now we're going to say the blessing for the... We'll say the blessing for those who are ill. So if you have someone you'd like to say a blessing for, just say it to yourself, and then we're going to sing the Mishaberach.
Fire
like to invite up someone I just met 22 years ago, Brian Harnick, to lift the Torah. He knew exactly what I meant when I said that. And Michelle Hoffman to dress the Torah, and the Torah stand to hold the Torah. It's one of the most favorite things that was built at this temple by our confirmation class, because my son's name is on it. Just saying. But that's the wonderful thing that we do here at Temple Sinai, is that we have this confirmation class. And every year, they give back to the temple. So you see the staka box we have outside. That was last year's confirmation gift. And we made it extra big. So you don't have to just put your Kol Nidre appeal. You can also put whatever cash you have in your pockets. And we prefer hundreds. You know how John spoon? Open, the fulcrum, you got it. Fulcrum it down, so go, yeah. וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. Now this is where the kids take over. Did I mention we had a religious school? So for the Kriyat Haftarah, the reading of the Haftorah that can be found on page 247 to 261. I heard a yay as well. That was good. I like that. So to introduce the Haftorah, Marty Lond. To make the blessings of the Haftorah, Charlotte Trudeau. And the Haftorah readers will be Charlotte Trudeau, Lexi Berman, Bella Mazzei, and Marty Lond and Rachel Sanford. Come on down. Or up. Up. That's why it's in Aliyah. Got it?
Shana Tova. The Haftorah the rabbis chose for us to read on this Rosh Hashanah morning tells the story of a woman, Hannah, who is unable to bear children. Hannah does not understand why she is barren, so she turns to God in desperation and prays for a miracle. In that time, a woman's value was tied to her ability to have children, so Hannah felt less a part of her family and community. She prayed from her heart, and soon she conceived a son, Samuel. Hannah was so grateful that she promised her child would live his life in service to God. Hannah knew that this was a gift not out of pity, but rather out of kindness. She knew that she could not take the birth of her son and becoming a mother for granted. Hannah prayed from her heart. Her story exemplifies the strength and purpose prayer can have. The rabbis chose this story because it gives us hope. It reminds us when the prayers come from our hearts, God listens. It gives us all hope that we too can experience a miracle. If we are honest with ourselves and turn our prayers into actions, prayer is a powerful tool. In our time, it is common to get lost in our lives, get lost in our problems, overthink everything we have to do, and think we don't have nearly enough time to do it all. I know I sure do. However, when we remember to step back and think, What do we need to accomplish first, and how are we going to do it? We can turn our prayers into a plan of action. Hannah's prayers parallel to the present day because we all need to remind ourselves of our priorities in order to achieve what we really want, just as Hannah once did. Once Hannah recognized her difficulties conceiving, she turned to God. When I feel discouraged and feel as if I have already done everything I can do to fix a problem, I turn to the help of my friends and my family and God. Hannah went to the one she thought could help her, and I also do this because I know that I cannot do everything by myself. Hannah's story is meaningful on this Rosh Hashanah morning because she reminds us to be an active participant in our prayers. We have the ability to achieve great things. Maybe the teaching this year is that with God's help, anything is possible. May this new year bring great possibilities for all of us. Shana Tova.
The blessing can be found on page 247.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar b'nivim tovim v'ratzav v'divrehem ha'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'torah v'moshe abdo v'Yisrael amo v'nvi'ei ha'emet b'tzedek. Vayhi ish echad min haramatayim sofim meher Ephraim u'shmo Elkanah ben Yeroham ben Elihu ben Suf ben Tohu Ephratihi v'lo shetei nashim shem achat Hannah v'shem hashenit Penina v'yehi livnina yeladim u'chana ein yeladim v'Allah ha'ish hahu me'iro me'yamim yamima L'hishtachavo b'lizboa L'Adonai Seva'o b'Shilo b'Sham Shnei b'nei Eli Hafni u'Finhas Kohanim L'Adonai.
Vayehi hayom vayizbach Elkanah Vanatan Lifnina Ishto Ucho Baneha Uvnoteha Manot Ulchana Yitain Mana Achat Apayim Ki Etchana Ahev Ba'adonai Segarachma V'kiyasata Sarata Gam Ka'as Ba'avur Harima Ki Segar Adonai Ba'adrachma
V'kein ya'aseh shena v'shina midei alota b'vei Adonai kein tachisena v'tivke v'lo tocha v'yomer la'a Elkanah isha hana lima havtivki v'lameh lo tachli v'lameh yarei levaveh halo anochi tov la me'asara banim v'takom hana acharei achla b'shilo v'achara shato v'eli hakohen yeshev al hakiseh al mezuzat hakeli Adonai
Vehi marat nafesh utitpalel al Adonai uvachot tivki.
Vatidor neder vatomar Adonai Savaot Imra'o Tireh Ba'oni Amatecha Utkartani Lo Tishchach Et Amatecha V'natata La'amatecha Sarah Anoshim Untativ Adonai Kol Yemei Hayar Umorah Lo a'ale al rosho v'hayar ki kirbato lifnei lehitpalel lifnei Adonai v'li shomer et picha v'thanai midaberich alibach ra sifatecha naot v'kola ka lo yeshemea vayashvecha eli lishem korah.
Vayomer elecha Eli ad matai tishtaharin hasiri et yenek me'alayich Batan hana vatomer lo Adoni isha keshat rucha anohi vayan v'shechar lo shatiti vayishpo et nafshi lifnei Adonai al titain et admatcha lifnei bat blial ki merosihi v'chasi dibarti adchena.
Vaya'an Eli Vayomer lehi l'shalom Ve'elohei Yisrael Yitain et shelate asher sha'al me'imo Vatomer timsa shifatcha Hein be'enecha Vatele ha'isha ledarcha Vatohal ufenecha lo hayu la od Ve'ashkimu va'boker Vayishtachavu lifnei Adonai Ve'yashuvu Ve'yavu El Beitam Haramata Ve'yeda Elkanah Et Hana Shimcho Yishto Ve'yizkerecha Adonai.
Vayehi Yitkufot Hayamim Vatahar Chana V'teled Ben V'tikra et Shemo Shmuel Ki me Adonai Shiltiv Vaya'al Ha'ish Elkanah V'chol Beitov Lizboach Adonai Et Savach Hayamim Ve'et Nidro. The blessing after starts on 258. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam Tzor kol ha'olamim Sadik bechol hadarot Ha'el ha'ne'eman Ha'omer v'oseh Hamzaber u'mkayem Shekol devarav emet v'tzedek
Ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu v'ne'anim devarecha v'devarecha midvarecha achor lo yishuv rekam ki el melech ne'eman
v'rachamanata, Baruch ata Adonai, ha'el ha'ne'eman b'chol devarav, rachem al Tzion, ki beit hayenu, b'la aluvat nefesh, toshia b'mheira b'yameinu, Baruch ata Adonai, misamech Tzion b'vaneha, Samcheinu Adonai Eloheinu, ve'Eliyahu hanavi avdecha, uv'melchut Beit David mishichecha, b'mheira yavo, v'yagel libeinu, al kiso lo yeshev zar, v'lo yinchalu, od acherim et kavodo, ki v'shem kodshecha nishbata lo, shelo yichbeh, neiro le'olam va'ed, Baruch ata Adonai, Magen David, Al HaTorah, V'al HaAvodah, V'al HaNvi'im, V'ayam HaZikaron Hazeh, Shenatata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, L'chavod Ultifaret, Al HaKol, Adonai Eloheinu, Anachnu modim lach, Umvarchim otach, Yitbarach Shimcha, Befi Kol Chai, Tamid Leolam Va'ed, Udbarcha Emet V'Kayam La'ad, Baruch Ata Adonai, Melech HaKol Haaretz, Mikadesh Yisrael, 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 V'yom HaZikaron.
Yishkolchem. This is girl power year, right? Now we begin the second of our shofrot blasts, and that can be found on page 262. When I was a kid, I always loved it when we zipped through pages really fast, but we were reading everything because it was Orthodox. And it was just a blur of words. Let's read together this little blessing. It's actually on page 267. I'm going to read the Hebrew first. And then we'll read together in the English, and then we'll say the special blessing over the Brit, the covenant between Abraham and God. Eloheinu v'Elokei avotenu v'imotenu. And if you can read Hebrew, join me with the Hebrew too. Zochrenu b'zichron tov lefanecha, ufaltenu b'fkudat Yeshua v'rachamim, mishmei shmei kedem, uzacha lanu Adonai Eloheinu et habrit v'et hachesed v'et hashvuah asher nishbata la'Avraham avinu b'har HaMoriah. Together, God of remembrance, remember the covenants of our ancestors. We reaffirm it today. Remember, we are a people of noble ideals. Help us to attain them. Remember all your people, all the nations on the road to peace. Bless their efforts. Remember with mercy the binding of Isaac, the sorrow of Sarah, Abraham's words, Hineni, here I am. Ki zoche kol hanishkachot ata hu me'olam ve'ein shichacha lifnei chisei kvodecha. Baruch ata Adonai zocher habrit. And now for the shofar blasts. say, Hayom harat olam, on page 269. Hayom ya'amid b'mishpat ki yitzurei olamim im kuvanim rachmenu kirachem av al banim im kaadim inenu l'cha tzluyot ad shetechanenu v'totzi ka'ozeh mishpatenu im kadosh. Together, today the world is born anew. This day the whole of creation stands before you to be judged. As we are your children, love us in the way of mothers and fathers. As we are yours in service, guide us by the lights of your justice, grace, and holiness. And now for our prayer for our congregation, I'd like to invite up Sharon McKee.
Bull? Can't hear? Okay. I'm very honored to read this beautiful prayer. Prayer for our congregation. Eternal Presence, who blessed our mothers and fathers, bless this holy congregation, a house of study, prayer, and righteous deeds. Together we give thanks for our leaders, those who learn, teach, and uphold the Torah, inspiring others to learn, teach, and uphold the Torah. Those who do the sacred work of building our community, may their service bring them joy, fulfillment, and purpose, and may they go from strength to strength. For our members, diverse in age, interest, and background, Jews by birth, Jews by choice, and those of other faiths who join with us, all who offer their time and talent, their love and commitment. For all who come here on this holy day of Rosh Hashanah to share the search for meaning and renewal, your presence is a blessing, your friendship a gift. May the spirit of peace and dignity and respect live within these walls, inspiring us to care for one another with compassion. And may we be a source of goodness, light, and healing for the world. May the one who blessed the generations before us bless us as we stand together this day, one congregation joined with all Jewish communities of the world. Through our prayers on this festival of the new year, let us renew ourselves for the year ahead. Let us honor the precious legacy that is ours. Lashana Tova.
Shana Tova. Tishikochech. Fist bump. Fist bump. Can't go over that fist bump. And now for the prayer for our country, and that is the United States of America, just in case anyone wondered where we were. And that can be found on page 272, and Jerry Sullivan will be reading that prayer.
Thank you, Rabbi. God of holiness, we hear your message. Justice, justice, you shall pursue. God of freedom, we hear your charge. Proclaim liberty throughout the land. Inspire us through your teachings and commandments to love and uphold our precious democracy. Let every citizen take responsibility for the rights and freedoms we cherish. Let each of us be an advocate for justice, an activist for liberty, a defender of dignity. And let us champion the values that make our nation a haven for the persecuted, a beacon of hope among the nations. May our actions reflect compassion for all people within our borders and abroad. May our leaders and officials embody the vision of our founders to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. We pray for courage and conscience as we aim to support our country's highest values and aspirations, the hard-won rights that define us as a people, the responsibilities that they entail. We pray for all who serve our community with selfless devotion in peace and in war, from fields of battle to clinics and classrooms, from government to the grassroots, all those whose noble deeds and sacrifice benefit our nation and our world. We are grateful for the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that our founders ascribed to you, our Creator. We pray for their wisdom and moral strength, that we may be guardians of these rights for ourselves and for the sake of all people, now and forever.
Amen. I'd like to invite to join me for the prayer for the state of Israel, Marsha Stein. It's on page 274. I'll be reading in the Hebrew, and Marsha will be reading in the English. Avinu shebashamayim, tzur Yisrael v'goalo, barech medinat Yisrael, reishit tzmichat gulatenu, hagen aleh be'evrat chastecha, ufros aleh sukat shlomecha, ושלח אורך ועמיתך ראשי צעריה ויועציה, ותקנם ביצה טובה מלפניך, חזק את ידי מגיני ארץ קודשנו, והנחילם אלוהינו ישוע ועטרת ניצחון תעטרם, ונתת שלום בארץ ושמחת עולם ליושביה, ונאמר אמן.
You who are high above all nations, states, and peoples, Rock of Israel, the one who has saved us and preserved us in life. Bless the state of Israel, first flowering of our redemption. Be her loving shield, a shelter of lasting peace. Guide her leaders and advisors by your light of truth. Instruct them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who build and protect our holy land. Deliver them from danger, crown their efforts with success. Grant peace to the land, lasting joy to all of her people, and together may we say Amen.
Amen. Avinu shebashamayim, tzur Yisrael v'goalo, barech et medinat Yisrael, reishit tzmichat geulatenu, hagen aleha, bevrat chastecha, ufros aleha, sukat shelamecha, ushlach ocha ve'yamitcha, lo asher asareya v'yoatzeha, v'taknei ביצה טובה מלפניך, אבינו שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו, ברך את מדינת ישראל, Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Avinu Shebashamayim, deliver them and crown their efforts with triumph. Avinu Shebashamayim, to Yisrael v'gohalo. Bless our land with peace, O God, and its inhabitants with everlasting joy. And let us say, Amen, Amen. Avinu Shebashamayim, to Yisrael v'gohalo, barech et medinat Yisrael, Reshit tzmichat geulateinu, Hagen, Hagen aleha, bevrat, bevrat chastecha, ufros aleha, aleha, sukat, sukat shalomecha, v'nomar amen, v'nomar amen, amen. And now I'd like to invite up Sanford Friedman and Jerry Hips to open the Ark as the Torah is returned to the Ark, and please rise as the Torah is returned on page 276, and Gary Krieger will also be returning the Torah to the Ark. Hopefully it stays shut, right? Shkech, shkech, shkech. What was that one? Where did he go? It's ready. Do you remember a time we used to get in the mail calendars from like the JNF and from all these different organizations? I think sometimes we still do. But now you can you say, hey Siri, put all the Jewish holidays on my phone. And so whenever a calendar comes in the mail, often you see, oh, it's a calendar, and it goes straight into the recycling. I'm going to try to save the planet here, right? So this year I got one from APAC. Now, I love APAC, but I thought it was a calendar, and it turned out, and I was lucky I didn't, because every year APAC sends rabbis a list of resources for the high holidays, which I think is, and often I've used them, they can be very useful. This year, I decided not to rip off one of my sermons from the APAC, because they actually have a whole chapter. They have like 6 or 7 sermons you can take, and I've never actually done that, but I know some rabbis that do take their sermons straight out of the APAC book. Saves you hours. I'm just giving you a little behind the scenes of the rabbi world there a little bit, right? So, I always look through it, and sometimes I find they bring out some interesting verses that you can use. And this year I thought to myself, well, I think I'm gonna put it aside, and I'm gonna use it for night reading, maybe help me fall asleep. But I think APAC is a very important organization. People seem to think it's a partisan organization. And unfortunately, that is kind of the world that we're living into. And I touched on it yesterday, and I was talking about it in terms of what it means to be Jewish in society. And now I'd like to talk about something, and this is a continuation from yesterday, sort of, but we look outward. Yesterday we looked inward. Today I'd look outward. The other way around. We're going to look inward as part of this Jewish community and the discourse that's happening between Jews and the very disturbing split that we're seeing within the Jewish communities. And so I realized that on both sides of the aisle, and I don't even like to call it an aisle, but within all of the Jewish communities, there's this famous quote that Golda Meir said, and I think she was speaking to, might have been Truman or Eisenhower, I can't remember which one, but he was talking, they're talking about how, I'm the president of 150 million people, or however many it is. And Golda Meir turned around and said, I am the prime minister of however million prime ministers there are. And that's really the very nature of our people. I didn't get the numbers right, but that's, that's okay. But for a Jew, Israel is our heart. It's my heart. I've been criticized for speaking about Israel too much, but I'll never stop speaking about Israel for obvious reasons. First of all, my whole family lives there. But also, I think it's a place of sanctuary that the world is starting to forget is necessary. Necessary for Jews to have security within the countries that they live in. Before there was the state of Israel, there was no place for a Jew to go. Joe Kennedy was ambassador back during the Holocaust, and he turned back a ship full of Jewish refugees who all ended up mostly dying in the Holocaust. So without American Jewish support for Israel, that same thing could happen again. Without the state of Israel, we would have nowhere to go. That is just a plain fact. Over the years, this discourse of Israel, which used to be bipartisan, has become partisan. And that is really what is disturbing me. That it shouldn't be divisive amongst Jews. Living in Israel, my best friend voted for Meretz, which is the most left-wing Israeli party you can vote for. I voted, back in the 90s, for Bibi, Benjamin Netanyahu. And yet, we are still best friends, and we hang out, and when we go to Fisherman's Market, and we have a couple of drinks. They got great fish tacos there. That was just a little plug for there. But this really is a symptom of a wider issue. And I touched on this a little yesterday. It's this discourse, this vitriol, this black and white that the world has suddenly become, when we have to realize that we're living in a world of gray. There is a British author who wrote a couple of comedic novels. In 2010, he won the Man Booker Prize for a work called The Finkler Question. And it was one of the first times that the humorous book actually won this award. And he's also what's called a liberal Zionist. So this is not someone who we may share different views, but that's okay. But he said something I thought was quite interesting. And hopefully this comes out right. And he said, people don't get irony. In this wide-ranging conversation with the Jewish Telegraphic Agency, he says, because of the internet and certain presidents and Brexit, etc., and all that, we're living in very non-ironical times. The mode of discourse of the moment is you say something, and I say something back, and you say something back, and we are separate. And we brutally contradict one another. As I said yesterday, social media has taken away this irony. Sometimes you can't even get away with posting a cat video without somebody making it political. I think I want to create a day where we don't post anything other than cat videos. And I think that could quite possibly cure the world of all its ills. But seriously, every topic that we discuss becomes a topic of extremes. The room for listening to each other is disappearing, and we're starting to demonize those that we disagree with. We don't live in this world. Yes, there's extremism. Yes, there are a minority who hate. But we have to fight this with every breath. We have to find a new highway of discourse. Get rid of that which is empowering the extremists on both sides. Extremists should not be representing our government. Extremists should not have a voice in our society. And if we scream louder than them, those voices disappear. But coming back to Israel, 71 years ago, I am more disturbed now than I've ever been about the growing divide between Israeli and American Jews. There's started to be this misunderstanding in some cases where they just don't really understand each other. Israel, most Israelis believe that we are the parents and those Jews in the diaspora are the children. And the same thing is believed of by American Jews and Jews in the diaspora, that Israel is the child, because it's a young country, and American Jews and the Israeli Jews are the children. The truth is, we're all Jews. We're all the same people. We all share the same blood. We all share the same interests. We observe our observances slightly different. Our languages are slightly different. But at the same time, this is who we are. We have to get rid of this misunderstanding. And I was speaking yesterday about birthrights. I'm going to tell you a story. My daughter, who went on birthright last year, now she was born in Israel. Her brother is serving in the Israel Defense Forces. And she had this view of Israel that was basically molded by the media. It was molded by this idea that, yes, there is some type of oppression going of the Palestinians, that when you're seeing snipers shooting in Gaza across the border, they're targeting innocent civilians. And even though her brother, who is a soldier and has been on the Gaza border and has seen for himself that that is not the case, in fact, people don't know this, but every unit has a lawyer that sits in the command, where the executive commander in their camp, and they have to make a legal decision whether to fire, whether that sniper can take that shot. And this is a very difficult situation in the fog of war when you have And we're not just talking about people trying to peacefully demonstrate and saying, I want my individual rights, etc., etc. There's nothing wrong with a peaceful demonstration. This is a coordinated invasion on Israel's border by Hamas terrorists who are funded and supported by Iran, who are currently seizing ships and trying to start a war in the Middle East. And Israel is acting with more restraint than any other country in the world would act with. And I know also that the American military acts with similar amounts of restraint, as they have done in the Gulf at this moment, to prevent a war, because that's what Iran wants to do. And so after my daughter came back from Birthright, and she traveled through the land of Israel, and she brought back this bottle of, she was drinking in the land of Israel as well, because you can drink at 18 there. And when she was hanging out, she realized, well, you know, the divide between Arabs and Jews, for example, is not as terrible as you think it is. And I can tell you this from experience. You know, we had Arab friends. It was not, we didn't think about it. Just recently, there was a newspaper article about a Palestinian he was a barber, and these two Jewish settlers were having their haircuts. And a terrorist came in to try to stab them, and this Palestinian saved these Jews and chased this guy out. There are other stories of Palestinians who've helped Israelis who have actually been threatened and made homeless and have had to move to Israel because of the terrorist threats that have been made to them. Every time something happens, Israel, the embassies moved to Jerusalem, the Golan Heights are annexed. There's talks about how annexing the West Bank is going to destroy the two-state solution. Everyone goes crazy and says, what about the two-state solution? I got news for you guys. The two-state solution ain't ever going to happen. It died a long time ago. I had to write a paper. I'm taking a class here or there. And no one should ever have to read this paper. If any of my friends read this paper, they're going to disown me. But because I had to write a paper and bring in the sources from opinions that I don't agree with. And the one thing that everybody in this paper agreed with was that the two-state solution is dead. That there has to be new options. We know this for a number of reasons. First of all, Israel is never going to give up the high ground, ever. Jerusalem will always be our sacred capital, united and forever. But there are alternatives that can bring justice to both sides. We had Professor Mordechai Kedar here, who showed some of those possible options that would create a situation where the Palestinians have autonomy and Israel can retain their sense of security. Rosh Hashanah, we read the Akedah, where God tests Abraham. And it's a test of justice, that most sacred of all Jewish values. And this is what we're seeing. This is an ideal that is played out in Israel all of the time. This concept of justice. In everything Israel does, there is justice. This is what we have to teach the world when they talk about the way Israel is. It isn't simply that the Israelis bulldozed the house of a Palestinian Palestinian terrorist. It goes through a court system. There is a due process that happens in these cases. This explains and brings to light why we have to engage in civil discourse with Jews that don't agree with us. The BDS movement that when I spoke about 4 or 5 years ago that was a fringe movement has now become mainstream. Not only mainstream to the point where we're seeing it just widespread in, the majority of these kids on campuses are actually saying that this is a good idea because they're comparing it to South Africa back in the 80s, for those of us that remember it. But the supporters of BDS are also part of our Jewish community. Now this, in just a short period of timing, is a very disturbing trend. The way we solve this problem, as I said, is through education. But we have to encourage everybody to visit Israel. This is how we truly educate people. In our religious school, we started a conversational Hebrew class for our Hebrew Chai students, correct? And it's taught by an Israeli who teaches our kids about the land of Israel, about Israel. But we all have to be educators. We have to change this paradigm where we are starting to see ourselves separated as a people. The reason why the second temple was destroyed was for one reason. That reason that's given in the Talmud is sinat chinam, which means baseless hatred. It's the pointing of the fingers that I'm a better Jew than you are. If I don't agree with you, I'm going to start a pop-up synagogue somewhere, right? And then before you know it, you've got 15 synagogues, which aren't really synagogues anyway. They're just places where people go once a week because they're too cheap to pay. Oh, yeah, I said that, didn't I? You've got to support the next generation, right? So we don't stand up and say it. Before long, it's going to be gone. But no country is perfect. And, you know, Jack Olshansky sent this wonderful video, and it showed the land of Israel. Like the way the video came in, it did the file open properly for me. Just I know you wrote that at the top of the video. But it showed this country that's been called the startup nation. A country that doesn't have many of its own natural resources. Water used to be one of the biggest issues Israel had, right? The Six-Day War was partially fought, as you probably know, Andy, right? Because of the water supply from the Kinneret, which was primarily, you know, the Syrians used that water supply, and they figured if they could take that water supply, they could literally starve the state of Israel. So Israel came up with this brilliant idea, and that's cool. They take the desalinization plants that they now use, where the water that is drunk in much of the areas of Israel is created from seawater. I don't want to get into the studies that say that some of this water can give you heart conditions. That's another story. But, you know, there's always something. Please don't smoke e-cigarettes, everybody. But we have to fight against this idea of the willfully ignorant who are distorting the facts. The blatant Jew hatred that is practiced by Hamas, Hezbollah, and the government of Iran must be illustrated and pointed out to those who just blurt out. It's like they're parrots. They say these ideals without really understanding what they're saying. They see the destruction of Israel as a religious principle. When we talk about the fact that should be a Palestinian state, we seem to forget the fact, and why the Israelis haven't made peace, we seem to forget the fact that the Israelis have offered everything to them. They offered them East Jerusalem. They offered to dismantle settlements. They say that Gaza is occupied, but it's not occupied. We unilaterally pulled our settlements out. Israeli soldiers were crying as they were tearing down houses and pulling out other fellow Jews from their homes. I was there. I wasn't there, actually. No, I wasn't there. This has to be explained. And we have to understand through Jack's video. You have to send it to everyone now, Jack. If you want to boycott Israel, you need to throw your phone in the garbage, for starters, because you shouldn't be using your cell phone. If you have a debilitating disease or you need some kind of gene therapy for cancer, you shouldn't get that therapy, because that was also developed in Israel. If you want to use the technology that allows Tesla to be a self-driving has anyone got a new car that beeps when you're crossing lanes? Well, that was created by an Israeli company called Mobileye, which was then bought out by IBM. I know this because Arthur Shore introduced me to that company. But these are all the things that come out of this wonderful country. But we have to retain our values while we're doing this. While we are defending Israel, we can't forget who we are. We have to not give in to fear and hate. We can't hate our enemy. We just have to hate the leaders of our enemy. It's not their fault that their leaders are corrupt, that their leaders push them into the line of fire. At all times, we have to be inclusive and recognize the principle that is the inalienable right of every human being to have freedom. That is essentially the Jewish value. That is what the Torah was found. That is what the Torah is all about. The reason we win is by staying who we are through these times of great difficulty and tragedy. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are times to reflect on our interaction with the world and a world that we would like to live in. Because when we reflect, we think about, oy vey, what happened this year. But let's focus on what world we'd like to live in. The book of life remains open from Rosh Hashanah, the first day of last night, until Ne'ilah. Through returning to ourselves, returning to each other, we can rewrite our future. Shana Tova. Hi. It says sermon right there. I was like, okay. Okay, now we are coming to the next part of our final part of our shofar service that can be found on page 282. And I'm going to read in the Hebrew. Now, this is the part that is actually called zichronot, shofrot. I'm sorry. Shofrot means the awakening. Because today we wake up, and then we've got 10 days to think about what meal we're going to eat to get us through the fast on Yom Kippur. But this is a time where we're supposed to really use that time for therapy, self-therapy, where we think, and I think a good exercise for all of us to do, what we call the Aseret Yemei Tshuva, the 10 days of repentance, is each day write down something that you would like to accomplish next year. And that's the shofrot. That's what this sounding of the shofar is supposed to do for us. So I'm going to read in the Hebrew how God's presence was revealed in a cloud. Ata nigleita 282. Be'anan kvodecha al am kodshecha ledaber imam mekolot uvrakim aleihem nigleita b'kol shofar aleihem hofata. Eloheinu v'lehevotenu v'imotenu tekah b'shofar gadol lecherotenu v'sanes lekabetz geotenu v'karev pizurenu mibein hagoyim v'nifsotenu kanes mirakte aretz. Together, God revealed to us and to our fathers and mothers before us. God of revelation, play the song of our freedom on the great shofar. Let your banner fly over the gathering of our exiles. Bring back the dispersed. Let those who are scattered find their way home. Let joyful songs of Zion greet us in Jerusalem, your holy city, the place of our people's eternal happiness. And since we've already said the blessing, we're now going to sound the shofar, the last 9 notes of the shofar. So I know that the Sanfords are going to join me for the last tekiah, right? That big tekiah, or whatever. What are you joining me for? Everyone, right? No, not just Michael and Rachel. Laurie's like, I'm not blowing that. I'm not doing the shofar. That's a good one. So, so they call, this is a Yemenite shofar, just for anyone that is interested. And it's not, so this is a ram's horn. This is made from an antelope horn. Huh? Kudu? But it's an antelope horn. Yeah. Thank God he's a surgeon. Thank you, Michael. He saved me from passing out. And read in the Hebrew on page 285 and then the English. Hayom harat olam, hayom ya'amid b'mishpat kol yitzrei olamim, im kevanim, im kevadim, im kevanim, rachmenu kerachem av al banim, im keavadim meinenu lechat shliyot, ad shechanenu v'totzi ka'or mishpatenu ayom kadosh. Together, today the world is born anew. This day the whole of creation stands before you to be judged. As we are your children, love us in the way of mothers and fathers. As we are yours in service, guide us by the lights of your justice and holiness. I'd now like to invite up Elaine Kravitz and Jackie Elgart to open the Ark for the Aleinu. And that can be found on page 286. It says in my notes, Ark is closed, but that would defeat the purpose of opening it, wouldn't it? I did say my notes, Fred. And please write as the Ark is open. משפחות האדמה שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו כגורל העולם אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפניך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Amen.
Please be seated. We now turn to page 289. I'd like to invite up Nancy Shore.
Shall turn to you in love. When corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when lies and bigotry shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. So may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your dominion be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
And it has been said, Adonai shall reign over all the earth. On that day, Adonai shall be one, and God's name shall be one.
And now, as we have been doing our tradition, we're going to say the Mourner's Kaddish. So just say the name to yourself of the person you are saying Kaddish for. And please rise and turn to page 292 and join me for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitzgadal v'yitzgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei zechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lalmei olmaya. Yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitzba'a v'yitzromam v'yitnasei v'yitzada v'yit'alev v'yitzhalal shmei dekudsha brechu le'ela u'le'ela mikol brichata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shnam araba min shmaya v'chayim alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'imromav u'ya'asei shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. And that concludes our service. I will see you all, those that would like to come to Tashlich. I have no idea how to get there, but my wife does. 4 o'clock. And then we're going to sing Odon Olam. Sorry, page 298. And my wife just informed me it's at the Eisenhower Lake. Tashlich at the Eisenhower Lake. I don't know what that is. That's what I meant. Hope Square. There we go.